So what's going on, guys? DIY Dan again, and today I'm going to show you how I built these Cardinals cornhole boards. This is a painted on stencil. This is not a sticker. All right, I'm going to show you how I did that along with building it from beginning to end. All right, so stay tuned and let's get to it. So the platform itself, I use 3/4 inch plywood, and I usually just have Lowe's or Home Depot put a 4x8 sheet of plywood on their big saw and cut it in half both directions, and that gives me enough for 2 sets of boards. Make sure you get one smooth finished side. The other side doesn't really matter because it's on the bottom, obviously, and that could save you a little bit of money. Okay. So it's a 6-inch diameter hole. It is centered side to side, obviously, and then it measures 9 inches from the top of the boards to the center of the hole. Okay. Now I purchased a 6-inch hole saw to do this. You can get them at Lowe's, Home Depot, around 40-45 bucks, okay? If you don't want to spend that kind of money, you can always do a 6-inch stencil, draw it out, drill like a 3/8 hole, and then take a jigsaw and very carefully cut that circle out, okay? So this is 1x4 material I'm using for the trim around the bottom edge, okay? I'm going to cut it down to 2 1/4, and that'll give me the 2 1/4 plus my 3/4 inch plywood is going to give me my 3-inch at the bottom, which is the correct height for the bottom of the board. All right, so we're going to rip this real quick. I'm using screws that are just barely longer than the piece of wood, and I'm countersinking them in a little bit just to give them a little bit more bite. So I'm countersinking them down a little bit more so they go beyond flush right there, just so they go through almost that whole 3/4 of an inch there. Set that in place. These are the drill bits I use whenever I'm doing drywall screws, wood screws, okay? Because that taper, you have to have a countersink for it. So these drill bits have a countersink and a drill bit all in one. I've got a couple different sizes depending on the screw I use because I set my lengths, and that way I just have them ready to go. All right, so I'm intentionally I'm going to use this taper, which is a smaller diameter, okay? And I'm going to use the bigger taper. I'm going to show you what happens when you use too small of a drill bit. When you're trying to tighten, say we're tightening this 1x2 down to this plywood, okay? So we'll do this one first. Now we're going to do this one. Okay, those are countersunk in about the same distance. Now watch what happens. Notice this screw is going all the way through there without any restriction, okay? This one is not, okay? I can't push that screw through. So watch the difference when we tighten this down. Pushing down on it and giving it a decent squeeze. See how it lifted up right there? Okay? We're tight. I'm impacting that. Look at how loose that is, okay? Now watch what happens when I use this one. It's a lot stouter because we're not having any restriction in this piece of board. It's using just the threads that are pulling into the piece of plywood to hold it. All right, so I'm anchoring a screw into this side first. And then I'm throwing about 6 screws down this way to hold this steady, to hold this strong. And like I said, I'm digging that countersink in just a little deeper than I need to, so this grabs a little bit more into the plywood. I'm also moving my clamp down every time I put a screw in, so it holds that board nice and tight so there's no air gap. These are the legs that I'm using. They're made out of 2x4. This is a 15-degree angle cut. And on the long side of this, they're 11.5 inches long, okay? My center brace, it's going to go between them, is 15 inches long, okay? I did purchase a super long 1/4 inch drill bit for this, so I can reach all the way through the 2x4. So yeah, I bought these at Lowe's. They're 5 inches long. It's going to give me a good solid bite into that center 2x4. Okay, so we're going to mount those up now. So I'm setting this 2x4 up here. I'm going to drill through a little bit more so I can mark my holes. Now I'm going to run my other drill bit through just to give those big screws a little bit of a hole to get started with so it doesn't split out the wood. Alright, so I am putting one cross member in because I do not have a cross support up here. So I'm going to put this in kind of about a couple inches down from the hole. I did put some glue on there. Okay. So we are anchored now. I didn't video doing this, but what I did is I basically set my legs, once they were assembled, at a 90-degree angle here, right where they need to be when they're open, and just started a screw on each side, okay, and anchored those just as they sit. Made sure there was an even gap side to side, okay. Alright guys, so I've never done this before, so we're going to see how it goes. Doing a Cardinals stencil on these cornhole boards, and didn't really have the time to go get some made or anything, so I printed this out on a whole sheet of paper. Alright, and the plan is I put some painter's tape on a piece of wood basically. Alright, I'm going to tape this to there. I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut out the pattern, okay, and then strip all the tape away from the areas I don't need, and hopefully that's going to give me a stencil, so we'll see how it goes. I can re-stick it onto the boards. I can't really tell the angle. That was even pretty even. Alright guys, so I masked this off. I used basically a piece of tape, just little pieces of tape, to mark my gap, pulled it off, used it on the next piece, and that's what gave me my lines, okay? I then used my sanding block and sanded it down really good to give it a nice grabbing surface. And I should have used flat paint instead of satin, so it would have stuck better instead of having to recoat it several times. So lesson learned on my first time doing this stencil job, but you'll know for now and I'll know for next time. So let's pull this tape off and see how this black square looks. So being as though my satin paint did not work out, And this is peeling up a little bit. I'm going to put a clear coat on this. And I've kind of taken my foam pad sanding and just kind of roughed it up a little bit, take any really loose ends off of this. And then we're going to throw a clear coat over it. And that dull finish will go right away once I put the clear coat on it. A satin finish, because you don't really want a gloss finish because it makes the boards too slick. And you don't want a flat finish because it makes them too grabby. So the satin finish kind of gives them a little bit of slide, but they don't go flying right off the board. So I figured I'd show you guys how I make my scoreboards real quick. This is just a couple of golf tees, okay? And basically I drill a hole 0 through 21, figure out my spacing, use a square to draw my lines across, throw it in the drill press or drill the holes, figure out what hole fits nice as far as the golf tees go, and then just drill those out. And I just number them right in the center down the middle. Alright guys, so this is a set I actually built for myself about 5 years ago. It's been well used. I built it pretty much the exact same way that we just built those ones. And out camping one time, just as an example of how tough these boards are, nobody wanted to play bags. I got bored, had a few too many to drink, and I was using this as a bike ramp several times that night. And it's still in as good a shape as when I built it. So they will hold up for you. Hope you enjoyed this video and hope to see you next time. Later.